Hey guys, what's up? I'm Slim and you're watching Slimothy TV. In this video, we're going to quickly go over the different iPhone models to let you guys know which one you should get, so you guys can just sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're going to go over the 17 Pro, the iPhone 17, and the iPhone Air. So you can see them right here, all the way across. That's how they're going to be for this entire video. First off, let's go over the design and the colors. The 17 Pro looks very unique this year with this orange color. There's also a dark blue color and a silver color. There is no black color this year for the Pro. So if you want black, too bad. You're gonna have to get the blue one. I ordered the Cosmic Orange 17 Pro. Next up, the iPhone 17 has a few different colors here. We got lavender, sage, mist blue, white, and black. So if you want black, you're either gonna have to go with blue on the Pro or you're gonna have to go with black on the 17. Then for the iPhone Air, we got sky blue, light gold, cloud white, and space black. As you can see, that black is a lot darker than the one on the 17 and probably looks a little bit better. But anyways, guys, let me know your favorite. The sage and the mist blue both look pretty good here, but my favorite color is probably the light gold on the Air. It looks absolutely fantastic. Now, before we get too far into this, I do want to mention that I believe the Air is literally just a beta test. And the reason being is this is literally half of the next foldable iPhone. So when the foldable iPhone comes out, I think they're just going to sandwich basically two iPhone Airs together, and that's going to be the foldable. So I think that's why the iPhone Air does not have a number next to it. It's not like the 17 or anything, because I don't think the Air is going to be around too long. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I do believe that this is just half of the foldable that is coming next year or the year after. So keep that in mind. I was the first one to mention this, but now other influencers like, MKBHD and I think even Snazzy Labs are now mentioning this as well. I like to think that I inspired them with that idea, but there you go. That is kind of my thoughts there. Now let's talk about prices. It's kind of crazy actually. The Pro starts at $1,099, the regular 17 starts at $800, and the Air starts at $1,000. So, oh boy, that Air does not make any sense. If you're thinking about getting the Air just for the looks, okay, cool. If you got $1,000 to spend, go for it. It's got the upgraded chip, but this thing's probably going to thermally throttle. It's still got titanium, and it's got a much smaller battery. Only one camera, only one speaker. Just keep that in mind. The real deal this year is actually the 17. This is probably what I would recommend to almost everyone to get because it's got the 120 hertz display. It's got nice cameras this year. Everything about this is very nice. It's a very good upgrade. The Pro, honestly, you should only get this if you're actually professional or you just have to have the better telephoto camera. Like that's pretty much it. But let's go over the specs. The Air is actually pretty big. It's 6.5 inches. Not as big as the Pro Max, but it's definitely big. The Pro here is 6.3, which is the sweet spot. That's what I like. 17 is the same. As you guys can see here, same technology for the screens all the way through. Now, this is the weird part. The 17 Pro and the 17 are both aluminum. The Air is the only one that's still titanium. However, you guys can see here, the 17 Pro is a unibody design and the 17 is just a frame, just like the normal, 16 Pro. They all have the camera control button and action button as well. They all have Ceramic Shield 2 on the front, which is awesome. That gives you 3x better scratch resistance. The 17 Pro and the Air both have Ceramic Shield on the back. However, the 17 does not. And you can see they're all water resistant for a depth of 6 meters for 30 minutes. The iPhone 17 Pro has the A19 Pro chip as well as the iPhone Air. The iPhone 17 just has the A19, which honestly, probably most people won't notice, and much of this is the same. But check out this battery life. On the 17 Pro, you have up to 33 hours. If you get the Pro Max, you actually get 39 hours, I believe. And on the 17, you just get 30 hours, and on the Air, you get 27. Not that great. So if you're worried about battery life, do not get the Air. They all have the new 18 megapixel center stage camera. You guys can see these are all pretty much exactly the same here for the front camera. Now on the back, that's where things are going to differ just a bit here. The Pro has the 48 megapixel Pro Fusion camera system, 48 megapixel Fusion main, 48 megapixel Fusion ultra wide, and the 48 megapixel Fusion telephoto. The 17 is missing that telephoto, and the Air is missing quite a few actually. You only get the 48 megapixel Fusion main. And you can see this is all pretty much the same. There is no macro on the Air, which is kind of strange, but makes sense since it's missing the lens. Check this out. You got Dolby Vision up to 4K at 120 frames per second on the Pro. You only get 60 frames per second on the others. Again, this is more of a Pro feature, but it's something to think about, if you're someone that really likes to take videos on your phone. But most people probably don't care about that. And that's why I'm saying the 17 is literally perfect for like 90% of normies these days. Here are the zoom options. So the Air, you're really getting nerfed, for that $1,000 price tag. Kind of crazy actually. They all got Apple Intelligence. They all got emergency SOS, crash detection, all that stuff. USB-C, now they're all USB-C. However, USB 2, those are the speeds for the Air and the 17. That's pretty slow. This is 20x faster. So the Pro definitely has faster transfer speed. So if you're going to plug your phone into your computer to transfer media, you're going to want the Pro if you do that often. MagSafe wireless charging up to 25 watts with 30 watt adapter or higher is the same for the 17 and 17 Pro. But look at the Air, it is nerfed again, 20 watts with a 30 watt charger. So it's gonna charge a little bit slower, most likely due to thermals. Here are your storage configuration options for the different models. The Pro Max has a 2 terabyte option if that is something you want, but it's $2,000, which is insane. And of course you have to lug around the Pro Max size, which kind of sucks. I went for the orange 256 gig for the 17 Pro. That's pretty much the standard that I go with. There is no more 128 for the Pros. You guys can read through about these displays. They're pretty much identical here. Almost nothing different besides the slight size difference on the Air versus the 17 and the Pro. But all of this technology is basically the same. The new thing this year is the 3000 nits peak brightness over the 16 Pro. So that is something you will enjoy. The 16 Pro was only 2000 nits and now we're up to 3000. Now here's where you're gonna see some differences. The 17 versus 17 Pro, the height, the width, the depth, and the weight. The 17 Pro is quite a bit heavier than the 16 Pro. Last year, that one was 199 grams, and this one is 206. But check out how light the Air is. It is 165 grams. You can see all of these specs here. It is just so small. But honestly, the 17 is not much more heavy, to be honest. It's only 12 grams more, which is not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. All the same splash, water, and dust resistance. Apple Intelligence, it's all the same. The chip is different because you do have the Pro in the Air, but you don't have that in the 17. But again, you're not really probably going to notice any difference there for most average people. Cameras here, again, you're going to see quite a bit more for the Pro than especially the Air. There's a lot more stabilization here that you don't get on these ones. 3D sensor shift optical image stabilization as well. You're not going to get that on the 17 or the Air. These are the zoom options. You've got adaptive True Tone flash on the Pro, but you only have True Tone flash on the others. How much of a difference that's going to make, I'm not sure. We'll have to do some tests and find out. A lot of this stuff looks exactly the same, but you can see here Pro RAW is not available on the 17 or the Air. And on the Air, you also don't get macro or spatial photos. So keep that in mind. Here's for the video recording. If you guys are interested in that, again, if you do anything professional with your phone, like recording, let's say you have a business like with Instagram or TikTok and you make a decent amount of money, you might want to invest in the Pro just to get all of these extra goodies here that you get with the camera. Definitely don't get the Air because it's missing a ton of things here, even more than the 17. I mean, hell, even if you use your phone for business, the 17 can get you pretty much most of the way there if you don't need these extras here like ProRes RAW and ProRes video recording at 4K at 120 frames per second. I mean, who's actually going to use Genlock support and Apple Log 2 video recording or Academy Color encoding system? Most people are not going to be using that unless you are an actual professional. Most people don't even know what that means. Of course, you get macro, including slow-mo and time-lapse on the 17 and Pro, but you don't get that on the Air. Again, this Air is just super nerfed for $1,000. It doesn't make sense to get it unless you just have to have that thinner phone for whatever reason. I'm sure it's going to seem cool for like the first month, but after that, you're just missing so many features and it's $1,000. Like if it was $599, I'd be more interested in it, but $999 just doesn't make any sense. Now the 17 Pro does have the studio quality 4 mic array, which is pretty cool. That is I think the 16 Pro might have that as well. I'm not entirely sure, but that is something that is actually nice because you're not always going to have a studio mic to plug into your phone. And you know, if you use your 17 Pro to record something, you want the audio to sound good. So here's the front camera. Pretty similar all the way through and through. I'm not seeing any differences here until we get down here to the cinematic mode. Up to 4K Dolby Vision, 30 frames per second. That is not available on the Air. Kind of crazy. And of course, then the ProRes at 4K at 60 frames per second is also not available on either of these. Luckily, you do have slow-mo support at 120 frames per second and 1080p on all of them. So you do have that, which is always fun to use once or twice a year. Video playback times, this is where you got the battery differences. And again, the iPhone Air is very nerfed when it comes to battery. So just keep that in mind. You are probably going to want to pick up that MagSafe battery pack for the Air if you do get that, which brings it up to another $100. So you may as well just get the Pro at that point. Fast charge, you guys can see there are some differences here. This one's 50% in 30 minutes, and these are 50% in 20 minutes, probably because of thermal issues on the iPhone Air. The thermals are probably going to be an issue on that because not only is it so thin, it doesn't have the vapor chamber, and it's made out of titanium. So keep that in mind. They all have the same peace of mind features right here. These are both identical here, except you can see the Air is again a little bit nerfed. There is no millimeter wave on that one. So if you use millimeter wave, you're not going to get it with that. So other than that, this is all the same. Wi-Fi 7, great to see that. Bluetooth 6. These are all very nice to see. These are great things. I mean, dual frequency GPS is something that if you're coming from an older iPhone, you're going to enjoy that. It makes locking into GPS much quicker when you're out and about, or if you're downtown or something. You know, when you're leaving a parking garage and your phone doesn't know where you're at, this can really help with that. They all have Face ID, of course, and Siri. Sensors, let's see, there is no LiDAR scanner on the 17 or the Air, but everything else here looks the same. Dual eSIM across the board. Now this is in the US. The iPhone Air is not going to have standard SIM anywhere. It's only eSIM, every single country as far as I know, because it just doesn't have room for it. But I do believe that the other two here in other countries may have regular SIMs instead of just eSIM. USB-C, again, if you need 10 gigabits per second transfer speeds, you're gonna have to go with the Pro. You're gonna want the Pro. But overall, that's really it, guys. I think the 17 is pretty perfect for just about everyone that just wants a good phone. If it's time for you to upgrade your phone and you find a good deal online, definitely consider the 17. I think this is a great year to upgrade. Great colors. We've got great features. The 120 hertz display is going to make your phone feel so much faster if you're coming from an older, like a 16 or a 15. And then of course, if you're a professional, go for the Pro, or if you just have extra money and want to spend it, go for it. I do not recommend the Air to anyone unless you absolutely have to have the thinnest phone possible. But again, it just doesn't make sense this year. And like I said, it's just going to probably transform into the iPhone Fold in the next couple years. And you'll probably see that play out at that point. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for this video. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you like the video, hit it with a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.